bookworms, and welcome to the Book Up. I'm your host, Verdell Walker, and I'm so excited you're here. Each week, I dive into my latest reads and share my honest, unvarnished opinions, all in 15 minutes or less. So sit back, get cozy, and let me give you the Book Up. Today's book is The Naturalist Society by Carrie Vaughn. It's a historical fantasy published by 47 North. The paperback edition is 395 pages, and the book is also available as an audiobook and an eBook. Here's the summary. In the summer of 1880, the death of Beth Stanley's husband puts her life's work in jeopardy. The magic of arcane taxonomy dictates that every natural thing in the world, from weather to animals, can be labeled, and doing so grants the practitioner some of that subject's unique power. But only men are permitted to train in this philosophy. Losing her husband means that Beth loses the name they put on her work and any influence she might have wielded. Brandon West and Anton Torrance are campaigning for their expedition to the South Pole, a mission that some believe could make a taxonomist all-powerful by tapping into the Earth's magnetic forces. Their late friend Harry Stanley's knowledge and connections would have been instrumental, but when they attempt to take custody of his work, they find that it was never his at all. Tied together by this secret and its implications, Beth, Bran, and Anton must find a way for Beth to use her talent for the good of the world before she's discovered by those who would lay claim to her rare potential and her very freedom. All right, bookworms, warning up top. There's a bit of a light spoiler or either romance coming up. You've been warned. So let's start with what I loved. This book has some beautiful writing, beautiful, evocative sentences and paragraphs, descriptions of nature and animals that are so beautiful. I am such a sucker for this. It was compulsively readable, and if you like a cozy fantasy, this book could very well be for you. The magic system was interesting and original. It was taking the work of Linnaeus and Darwin and building in this interesting twist. You know, words, names, and labels have power. We see this idea in so many cultures and belief systems from our own world. And with arcane taxonomy, you can take some of that power for yourself. I thought that was such an interesting concept. The second thing that I really loved was the character arc of Beth, seeing her come into her own as a woman. She starts the book off as a meek wallflower. She hides her brilliance behind her husband, and she is just a dynamite force under the corsets and the crinolines. I think that's how you say it, crinoline. She's self-taught and skilled in arcane taxonomy, but she had to live in her husband's shadow. But after his death, the truth about her intelligence and her skill with arcane taxonomy comes out. It was wonderful to see her delve into her passion for natural observation and start to own it, as well as to see her push back against the conventions of the time for a woman of her social class. So this book is set in kind of an alternate Victorian era. Beth is very naive, but she's also fiercely intelligent. She learns so much about not just her craft, but about herself through the book, and I enjoyed that. You really root for her, especially later in the story when she tries to break free of those Victorian constraints. and she suffers some very harsh confinement. I will leave it at that. But even then, escaping that confinement, her brains are on display. You love to see it. So that brings me to what I had mixed feelings about, the romance. So the male leads, Bran and Anton, are very compelling characters in their own right, especially Anton. I really loved reading about their adventures in Arctic exploration. Light spoiler, Bran, Anton, and Beth end up in a threesome, which is led by Bran falling for Beth. I wasn't bothered by the threesome per se, although your mileage may vary. That's not everyone's cup of tea. For me, I just wanted more for Beth than just a threesome. She deserved more than that, even if it did become kind of a catalyst for her growth. I wanted her to go on an adventure. I wanted her to join Bran and Anton on their Arctic excursion that they spend the whole book fighting to get funding for. But at the same time, that's also a realistic reflection of the times. I still wanted more for her, though. Although by the end of the book, she does get her more inner fashion. And I was so happy to see it. I hope I get my wish for her more, because the second book in this series, The Glass Slide World, is due to be published on October the 7th, 2025. I can't wait for it. So my final rating for the Naturalist Society is 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really love this book, and I wanted a bit more for Beth. That's why I took off that half a star. But all in all, this was a great book and one of my top reads of the year so far. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if you want to read today's book, I've included shoppable links in the episode description. I'll earn a commission if you make a purchase. Thanks for supporting the show that way. I'd also love to hear from you. Leave me a rating or a review, and if you have book recommendations, drop them in the comments on my latest post over on Instagram at @TheBookUpPod. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next time on The Book Up.